Exactly 2 minutes past the top of the hour. You're right in time for our last conversation this Monday morning on our Family Check segment. We look at career and motherhood for the next 37 minutes. This is what we are set to converse. I am holding court with Dr. Susan Gitau, who is a psychologist. Daktari, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Doreen.
You're welcome. Let me just shoot it. Should I give up my career for motherhood?
Why should you do that if you know how to balance?
How do you balance?
It's possible to balance, especially if you have a very supportive employer, a very supportive spouse.
I like why you've begun it from supportive employer.
Oh, yes, yeah. Oh, yeah. Supportive spouse,
yes.
Supportive family, and if you have a very good relationship with a caregiver for your child or your children, you can balance.
These are very key stakeholders. Supportive employer, supportive spouse, supportive family
and caregiver.
Yes. We'll come to this different stakeholders momentarily. But let me pick from your practice. What are some of these issues that women really do have? And why we say women is because there's a lot that's going on in this space, especially when you look at employment in this country, so to speak, as far as motherhood is concerned. And that's why I shot my first question: should I give up my career for motherhood?
And I said no. Because I'm a mother, I never gave up my career, though it wasn't easy. I hope a lot has improved in many institutions, and probably the ones that are watching us this morning can also decide to do something. Because I know there was a very big outcry some years back until fathers were given paternity leave.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how well they use the 10 or 14 days. Like where I work at African Nazarene University, men are given 10 working days. But I don't know whether they go to support their spouses or they go to finish their projects. We do also have institutions like the Teacher Service Commission. Yeah, and I'm happy because I became a mother when I was working for TSC.
Yeah.
And so it was easy for me to even like plan how I'll have my 3 months, but not just 3 months. I can have my 4 months. And so that I can have enough time to breastfeed my baby. But that is just one institution that I can say I am aware of. Where I am, the mothers given 3 months. And these 3 months, again, if you are lucky, for example, now we have the semester mode of learning and teaching. Maybe you're finishing in the month of May, and maybe you don't have these mid-semester units. So you can breastfeed your baby, be with your baby all the way. But I don't know, there are some institutions, especially some of the people that I have handled personally, and it saddens my heart, where you find somebody has lost their job because they became a mother. Not because of economic constraints in that institution, because that's a different factor altogether. But because now you have become a liability, or you have changed your shape. Maybe you used to be at the reception, or you are like now you're
you don't
a big name host, you know. And then now you've changed. Maybe the way people want to look at you. And I feel it. I really feel it, because it's like somebody wants you to go against the natural call that God has given us, you know, to be mothers. We would not have human beings in this world if we were never given birth. But apparently, I think and I believe sometimes when the world is against you, you can never be against yourself. And I think this is a very big discussion that needs to be taken to all workplaces, especially. Because the ones who are self-employed, by the way, wanaweza jipanga, they can plan their time and all that. Although, if you are the single mother, now that's even difficult, even if you're running a business. So it's important that we discuss this intensely and not forget who we are. One thing I always say, Africans should never lose their identity. Never, at whatever cost.
I hear you.
Yes, because if you are not a good enough mother, be prepared to have a very disturbed future citizen, very disturbed teenager at all developmental stages of your child. So I guess here balancing, also knowing how to take care of yourself is very key.
I hear you. You did touch on the Teachers Service Commission, also the fact that, you know, this
I benefit
has been your employer. But they just did effect the 2021-2025 CBA, that is a collective bargaining agreement, that provided for increase of leave days for both women and men. Women from 90 to 120 days.
Imagine.
And men from 14 days to 21, so that's 3 weeks. And this is just, you know, one of those institutions whereby we are privy as far as knowledge is concerned, to which they are at least making sure that mothers and even fathers can have time to spend with their infants or their small babies. From where you sit, even just as a psychologist, from your practice, what you've gathered, what you're covering in terms of covering ground, what more do institutions need to do as far as this days is concerned? Because you're just saying that it's important, and you need not give up one for the sake of the other. Yes.
There are times, you don't have your mother around, you don't have your sister, you don't have that caregiver, or the caregiver has taken off. So sometimes you may need to go with your baby to the workplace. Which workplace will allow you to go with a baby that is crying all over? It's like that is not a human being. So I'm happy with some of the institutions that have daycare centers for their employees, just in case something doesn't go right. But how many will allow you? And I want to say, I run a counseling center as well. And I have had young people giving birth. You can't believe, I even have a small room with beds for them. Yeah, because I suffered even that time when, even if TSC gave me time off, to be with my child, when I went back, I used to imagine from where I'm working and where my baby is, traveling, the cost in the first place, because there's a lot of cost that comes with the baby, you know? And I kept asking myself, now I'm here teaching people. You know, you even look at those students and sometimes you're angry at them, and you're being called that, oh, the baby now is almost passing out, and there isn't anything you can do. What if there is like a baby center, a daycare center for people to even breastfeed, especially the first few months? I would say the first 6 months are very critical, and if that can be added to 1 year, very critical, because the baby needs to attach with you. And let me tell you, some of the issues you're finding today, attachment to relationships, insecure attachment, it's because babies no longer bond. Our time we were bonding with our parents very well and for a long time, because most of them were stay-home moms. But right now, you find there isn't enough time for a mother and a baby to bond.
Someone will argue the high cost of living does not even give you the chance to do that. You really have to be out in the sun and the hustle and bustle of
that
life.
One I don't deny. But let me tell you, you lose your baby now, especially the first. We normally say the first, if possible. The first 1 year, you should bond very well with your child. If possible, the first 10 years, if not 6 years, then there'll be no one time you will feel you're detached from your baby. How many of us feel like our mothers are not our mothers? And especially this generation.
And the health are actually the mothers.
Yes. Why are we having somebody saying the dorm mother or the house mother that I've been given in high school feels more like a mother than my own mother? You know? So there are very deep discussions that I would like people to understand here. Why do you have a son who feels like their mother is not their mother? What happened? So we need to rethink the way we allow mothers to bond. We need to reorganize. Like the Teacher Service Commission, one of the things they know is that the minute I'm out for 4 months or 3 months, there'll be a teacher who will take slightly a higher load, but just for a short time. But I will have enough time maybe to be with my baby. If it's the father as well, when we talk about the 21 days, 3 weeks, these are the people who are really needed, by the way. Before you give birth, after you give birth, this person should see what you go through. But majority of them,
that's not the case.
That's not the case. And these are the people, again, later in life, they will say, you and your children, you're always against me. What's it? They always tell you stuff and they don't tell me, because there is no bonding. So let them know also it's not just another holiday. You need to bond with that baby, and especially the later period of getting a baby, somebody's spouse, those who are blessed with spouses, should be there including even touching the belly and getting in touch, because that child, it's only because they've not come out, actually.
But communication does happen.
It does happen.
At that
Very,
stage.
very deep, very intimate relationships. So let men know.
Yeah.
It's not about having complaints that there's a new person, a new being here who's come between us, crying all over. I know there is a hormone that men don't have in plenty, and we do have, oxytocin, the nurturing hormone. We have it in plenty, and it increases after you get a baby. And men can also activate it by being with you, seeing your struggles, seeing your smiles as well, and being there with that baby.
I hear you.
Let them not run away. Yes.
You've really touched on a number of issues that I want you to elucidate a bit further.
Yes.
First, you did talk about the bonding period. Either the first 6 years or the first 10 years. But I just did juxtapose that with the fact that when you look especially at where we are, even just as a country, and even globe as a whole, we're talking about recession as a globe, is a country high cost of living. And so one would argue, I mean, I am looking for the well-being of this child, and given the example that you gave, especially for those that are single parents, regardless of circumstance, so then at what point would you bring the help, and how would you balance giving that care as a mother for this period that you're talking about as a psychologist, and also having the help on board to help you in areas where you really can't quite do the most?
Now you're talking about a single mother, right?
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah.
Now, these ones are the ones I tell you have to be very good, very smart, very wise when you bring the help on board. Because you also need to take care of yourself, take care of them. Because when you have a single mom, especially those who had difficulties maybe giving birth, those who are left when they didn't imagine they would be left, now it's like you have double tragedy to deal with.
Yes.
And here you are with
You didn't prepare for that at that point.
Oh yes, yeah, very innocent. Gifts from God. And then you have this house help that you ignore because you're paying them. You will have it rough. And I've had people, and I really celebrate them, I know they are watching us, who've been with house helps, who came in, they even got married in that family, they have their own children, and they treated your children well. I would also let the house helps know, when you treat somebody else's child well, you as also somewhere, God has a good plan for your child. And their children have kind of an identity and an attachment that is solid. But you realize majority of the house helps we are getting today, well, people say they are training them. I don't know, training them on what? Because if they do not have training, especially on attachment, there is one theory I teach in my unit child and adolescent counseling called attachment theory. That if I don't learn to attach securely, then I'll attach to anything in this world. So if this house helps also, the single moms, especially those who will afford to pay one, it means they have a thriving career. Let these girls also have some basic education, or you also get some basic education on child and development, so that you can actually assist them to assist your child. The other thing I would say is that separate your personal issues from your parenting, because if you mix the two,
how possible is that?
It's possible. Just take care of your mental health and wellness. Simple and clear. And it's possible. I'm saying that because I know it's possible.
From experience?
Oh yes, from experience. Because if you mix the two, you have workplace stress and then you bring it to your baby. You have social stress from wherever, you bring it here. You have marital stress, you bring it to your baby. You're damaging a human being that is so innocent, and that will give you a headache later in life. And you will now bring them to us and pay us a lot of money to take care of your mess.
I'm interested to know, I mean, you just said from personal experience, and I'm interested to know how, first of all, what this experience was and how you dealt with it. Because I can tell you for sure, Dr. Susan, sometimes it is so easy to say, manage your mental stress. But then the practicability of managing that, or just separating those personal issues from family, is not really one of the easiest things to do.
I guess it's awareness and a lot of education. I don't shy from sharing actually my own personal experience because I was left when I didn't even imagine. And I had this handsome, you know, boy that God gave me, right? And one of the things I know is that it was difficult. And I really celebrate my sister Rose, because she came in when I had issues with house helps. And she looked at me, she knew the story, I was not talking about it, but they know, of course they know. They know they would see you with the father to have been, and now he's no longer visible, you know, so it has to be you. And it was also not easy when I was a teacher, because there is also a lot of judgment when you are a single mom in this continent, let alone this nation. In this continent,
in Africa,
of course, there are lots of judgments, and of course you have to fight hard. You have to fight hard. So when my sister saw I was struggling, she came on board, and you can guess what my son said on his graduation day. Me, I'm a super man. I have 2 mothers. I have 2 mothers. This one and this one. You can imagine if I didn't have my sister, the house helps that I was getting, some. Of course, everybody has their own personal needs, struggles and all that, but she came on board. Now that's family. What if I didn't have her? You know, what would have happened? What would have happened? And that's why I'm saying now, we need as family to love one another. Don't laugh at me because I've gotten a baby and you're like, let her jipange. And you know, this child, you never know who they are going to become. That's what I've always said. You never know. The other thing I like to say is that the employer, please, make the space comfortable for these moms. In our institution, by the way, I joined Nazarene when I was already a mother, because afterwards I don't think you would be allowed to work there anyway. I don't think so. If you get a baby outside wedlock, and it's okay to have standards and all that. But you can imagine now, if somebody by whatever way they got pregnant in such a workplace with policies and all that, what would happen? What would happen? Do they quit their job? So I know there are also very high demanding employment spaces where if you get pregnant, you start preparing to quit because they see how much they are going to lose. And they
look at it in terms of profits.
So do they look at you as a human being? No. You're just but some capital. You are capitalized.
But someone will argue this employer, this is their business.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be having a human face. And I'm telling you where we are heading. Where we are heading is that if organizations don't change, you will find yourself being phased out. Why? People have become aware of their rights. And they are shouting about their rights at the rooftops. The other thing, don't forget the world of business, the world of work is changing. So we are having more organizations that are seeing a universe that is getting digitalized. People will be working from home. And when they start working from home and they create their spaces working from home, you're not going to get there.
But Dr. Susan, talk to me even just now that you touched on employers. How then would even organizations or employers as a whole manage balancing the aspect of the human face and the business aspect? Why I ask this is because over time we've even covered stories of people who during maternity they were sent letters and told them letters that did terminate their employment. And some, even whilst they are going to this maternity, they're not even sure if they will come back. And even if they do, they're not sure if they'll get the same position that they left while they went to give birth. Some would even say they're scared of getting pregnant. So then how would an organization, a business, balance this aspect of this career woman who's wanting to be a mom and the business aspect of this organization?
For me, I always say it's candid conversation. When I say candid, that I'm genuine as an employee, and you as an employer, you're also genuine. And so we put everything on the table.
Genuine in what capacity, first of all?
Authenticity. Let me just use the word authenticity. Because this idea of playing cards against each other, me the employee, I play cards because I want to reap from you, my employer. I want to tell people you can never even be blessed. You will never even be happy in the inside. There will always be a conflict that I played on my employer. The other thing, it is the employer. They know probably how much you have invested in that institution. They know, unless they want to turn a blind eye. And then when it's time for you to enjoy this gift of motherhood, they don't want to give you an opportunity to do that. Ujipange. You know, and by the way, like I worked with one of my colleagues. I know she wouldn't be shy because she was younger than me by far. And right now she's pursuing her PhD in Biola University, United States of America. Rosemary Mukona, if you're watching me from the USA. Okay, I loved my institution for one thing, because they gave her even an opportunity to further her studies. And they even allowed her, even now I think if she wants to supervise, even teach, she can teach from wherever we are, because African Nazarene University, we are like 80% IODL. Yes, we do a lot of IODL teaching. But I remember she would get a baby after another, and she told me, Susan, I love babies. And you can see she loves the babies. But it wasn't kind. I had to really stand by her, because the employees would say, you just, the only thing you know is to
get pregnant.
Get pregnant and add babies.
So what the employer and the colleagues would say that.
That's why I'm talking about authenticity. If you went to the department and found how much you used to give to the department, maybe only the department chair or the dean of the school would know. So that's what I'm saying. When the HR is seeing me going for many maternity leaves, what is my boss? What is my immediate boss feeding the HR with? Because if you're telling the HR, wow, look at this person's productivity, even if they went on maternity leave, I'm telling you, whatever they've given us, look at even the students, look at their evaluation, look at their feedback, right? What about where you are maybe the marketer, and the organization has made sales, you know, good marketers will make an institution really go high. What about the time now? You will start having your children when you'll think I need to be aware. This is where I say, if I am authentic as an employee and I plan especially on having babies, can I also put it in a plan, right? Can I also like prepare somebody else who is gonna take up after me, such that I also don't disadvantage my employer? Because there are also people who say they will know who I am when I leave. They will see the gap. That's not the way we need to work. Because if I am authentic and I value my employer, I also need to think about them. And I also like to tell people on the other hand, even if it's not a fair game, can you be fair to yourself? And love yourself. You
know, you just said, for those who say they will fill my gap, and in my mind is just clicking that, you know, in this life, no one is indispensable. There might be people who might not do what you do exactly like how you do. But no one is indispensable. And
let me tell you what we are doing at ANU. Allow me to brag a little bit. We are thinking of the 21st century student projected to career. And we are actually having five modules we have prepared for ex-college. Because if you tell somebody today, take a little bit of your time, settle after 30 years, you're not so sure whether they'll have the energy to take care of their children or their babies. You're not so sure whether they'll have even gotten a job. So we are thinking, how do we take care of you even mentally? So in the many other units we have, we are thinking digital literacy, so that if you totally want to have babies, then you may need to choose careers that can favor you.
To do that.
Especially working from home. Oh yes, yeah. You can choose that. But are you equipped? Are you prepared? If in terms of mental health and wellness, we are asking, are you aware? Because self-awareness is very key. Do I know who I am? Do I know what I want? Can I have a vision of the kind of an employee I'm gonna be? If I am a woman, do I have a vision of the kind of a career mother person I'm gonna be? And so you project that in advance. Otherwise, when you get these shockers like some of us got, I'm telling you, I almost left teaching. Because I
almost left this career now.
Oh yes, university teaching is good. I'm talking about the Teacher Service Commission, where now when you're a single mom, you want to rise up the ladder, so you try everything. you know, in this country, our days, education was everything. So if you have a master's, you know, you can into the university, do part-time and all that, so that this child now who is your burden can have the best. Because the other thing I know single moms, especially those who are educated, they want to do is to give the best. Maybe you had a plan of 2 people working together, bringing up your children. Now that person is not there. It has to be you. And you already know what is good. I'm telling you, if you find single mothers working like hell, it's because they know you want your child, the one that also has a father and a mother, they are also competing in the same space.
They can get almost the same.
Oh, yes.
I hear you. Now, coming back again to organizations, do you think that also this is something that employers, organization can employ as far as even training is concerned? Because you just did say you can assume maybe this is a first-time mom, for example. They've finished their maternity. Let's believe that this is an institution that did allow them to finish. They're 3 months altogether. So now they're coming back to work. And you realize some of these roles that sometimes, just for a period, that which you used to do then, you may not be in that proper capacity to do them now. So this even trainings to prepare these career women, how to balance it out. Is it something that institutions, organizations can begin employing?
Let me tell you. Right now, if we have any employer who doesn't have a company mental health expert or even a life coach, is missing out big time.
This is within the company?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if there is that authenticity I have talked about.
Yes.
Because what we lack in big ways is authenticity. I can go to that company, they're employed by the company, they are my colleagues, and if they lack the professionalism, they lack that authenticity I'm talking about, the realness. You know, when you're a real human being, you will deal with that person as a real human being.
Yes.
So you can actually, as an institution, decide that before somebody proceeds for maternity leave, they are prepared. You know, they are prepared about the change and how they can adjust. When they also come back, because you come back, you find new things. The other day I was out for 6 months from the university, and I came back, I found other things, how we are supposed to load our exams. I needed a whole day to be trained, you know. That's just now leave. What about now this mother with hormonal imbalances?
You can imagine.
With the kind of, maybe you're torn between your baby and torn between performance at the workplace.
Because again, also, if you don't meet those expectations, someone may just be asking you out.
And I'm telling you, you will go. One thing I like to tell people is that any job where you are employed, know it can be taken from you at any one time. Any one time.
That's why I said no one is indispensable.
So how prepared are people for that?
I hear you.
And I learned that the hard way when I did employment detachment for separation counselling for Kenya Railways when we had huge retrenchment, 2007. And the people that were telling me, I don't know how long I'm going to last. So let the employer know that there are people who work for you. They are so loyal, they are so attached to you as an employer that if you just terminate them, you have killed them. And not just them, you have killed their families. We have so many mothers with young ones who have developed depression, let alone what we call clinically postpartum depression. But you now develop it after you have reported back to work because of what is happening at the workplace. Who cares? Who really cares about you? And so these are the candid conversations I'm saying employers and employees, especially the HR directorate, needs to look into. Do we know who is this mother who's just come back? How do we treat them? If there could be trainings that cover the whole of what women go through, the whole of what fathers go through, then I can imagine we could have optimum performance.
It's conclusive.
Production. Oh, yes.
And you just picked my mind because I was just about to ask you about the postpartum depression, and you just did touch on it. So then it means that all these issues put into one basket is what may lead to now what we call the postpartum depression. Issues not talked about, not dealt with.
You know, there is postpartum depression that can come naturally. And every mother, actually the first, you can talk about the first 40 days If it extends maybe to 2 months, 3 months, you really need support,
Yeah.
because a lot of you has changed. Remember, you two were together. Now one is out.
Yes.
That is already a loss in itself. Because being together, the baby here, that's why they have a lot of separation anxiety up to the age of 3 years. They really want to be with their mothers, right? And that's where we are seeing fathers come in, especially if you have a husband who is in business and you are employed 8 to 5 and he is in business. There is a way probably he can organize himself and allow these chances of developing separation anxiety to be significantly minimized. So because his presence as a father, there's a lot when it's your blood that you can look around and see that it's not happening well for your baby. And this wife of yours has to work. The other thing I found in the States, because wherever I go, I think about human beings are living there. I found there they will allow you so long as there's somebody logging in. You see, like the way children are taken to school very early. So this mama wakes up at 3 a.m. and she's in the car at 4 a.m. So that the child is in school by 6 a.m., especially in this Nairobi, if you had to hit the traffic jam. So if I am already at the workplace at 6 a.m. or 6:30, 7, my hours, if they are 8, they should be calculated as such. Because when I get in, I'm not just going there to wait until it is 8:30 or 9 for me to start working.
You'll get productive.
Start working. Exactly. And that's where I'm talking about authenticity. Am I working? I'm just there.
Doing nothing. We have about 4 minutes to exit this space. And I wouldn't want us to do that without talking about positioning. So this is this career mother trying to balance career, could be also business, and motherhood. How do they position themselves with all this, I should say, challenges surrounding even the workspace or the business premise, especially now after you've gone back to work, after your time of giving birth? How do you strategically position yourself to continue growing up your career, even as you take care of children?
Because we have seen them. We have great role models, I believe. And maybe to forward this discussion, you can have some of them. They've gone up, and you can pick maybe the space of a single mom and one who is married. And they've gone up the career ladder. You might be shocked the kind of support and the kind of level-headedness that they have. And that's what we call emotional intelligence, social intelligence, not forgetting they are also smart. IQ is also high. So you have that, if you know, I am going back to work, or I'm thinking of you are about to go for maternity leave and you're coming back, a plan is awesome. Just have a plan. And one thing you have to accept is that I'm giving birth. If I'm proceeding for maternity leave, a lot can happen. In fact, there are people who go thinking they'll have a normal birth, but they have a challenging birth. They think they have a normal baby, you get a special needs baby. I'm not saying you plan to get a special needs baby. Always pray and attract the best out of this life, and that's what you'll get. When you're going back, don't just go back to the workplace. That's why we need some support system at the workplace. Let them tell you what's going on at the workplace, so that when you're going back, you already know what you're getting into. And above everything else, take care of your mental wellness. Because when you're physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually fit, there is nothing in this world you cannot overcome.
I hear you.
Yes.
Good place to end it. Above all, take care of your mental wellness.
Exactly.
Having said and done all that, make sure somewhere up here,
niko sawa.
uko sawa. Thank you very much, Dr. for your time and for your valuable inputs into this conversation. Highly appreciated.
Thank you, Doreen.
I have been speaking to Dr. Susan Gitau, who is a psychologist, and definitely what has formed center of our conversation is balancing career and motherhood, and what you can do out there as a career mom, as a woman, as a female wanting to get into this, space, just basically what you can do to balance that out. Good place to end this conversation, and ultimately, good morning, Kenya, from me and on behalf of the entire team. Asante sana. Till tomorrow, good morning.